Alright everybody, Baron here, and welcome back to Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. So today, we're gonna be basically kind of imagining how did the Empire initially take the holy city of Jeddah, on the planet Jeddah, to basically take command of the temple, which, here we go, check this out. It's gonna be in the city square here. Look at this. See, imagine this guy is a Jedi, this is the temple in the city square. And the Empire wants it because they want the Kyber crystals in order to help power their new super weapon, the Death Star. So, I imagine that they would have occupied the city, they would have garrisoned it, and then there would have been a big counterattack, right? Because we're gonna have a Star Destroyer brought into Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator for the first time ever in this game. A vehicle that's not on the ground, a vehicle that is above, will be in the game. So, what we have here is the Imperial Commander who garrisoned the city, has a great number of stormtroopers, he's got a few death troopers, basically the special forces, and he has a detachment of ATSTs, right? And they're defending the points here. Now, he's limited in forces, so he's decided to go for a grand defense here, because he thinks that the two main groups of rebel soldiers are coming in the front. So he's got his ATSTs on hold position. He's going to do that. However, the rebel commander, knowing what the Empire's doing, they've decided to do a flank. Now, they got all the remaining force-wielding, lightsaber-carrying warriors, as well as the local populace and some of the insurgents from Sol Guerrera, and they're represented by the Gamorrean guards. We need so many new units in this game. Like, I want Mandalorians, I want so much. So anyway, we're gonna see this. The Empire's decided to do this, however, there is the sneak attack coming from the rear, so let's get it on, and let's see if the Empire is able to hold this. Now, the ATSTs are a little wonky. It'd be really cool if there was more allowed to the game. So, anyway, the Special Forces units, the Death Troopers here, are charging to try to hold this point. The Rebels, however, have superior numbers, and they've got pretty good tactics as well. So you can see the Rebels and the Stormtroopers squaring off right here. Tons of fire going back and forth. The ATSTs are doing their best to support these actions. However, it seems that the Rebels are likely to overrun. Just lasers flying everywhere. Can you imagine the siege of the city? Now when you look here, oh man, some of the Stormtroopers wised up, but look at this. They're in close confines, basically in a situation that's almost ideal for force-wielding and lightsaber-wielding warriors here. They're gonna be cutting these guys down left and right, and I love the just like smorgasbord of colors. It looks like a freaking rave show, a Jedi rave show, except the rave includes them cutting down Imperial soldiers. So there are a few Death Troopers here as well, but I'm thinking with this detachment just running through and cutting all resistance, eventually there's going to be a hammer and anvil attack here on the Imperial Stormtroopers. And even though they've got the ATSTs and the Death Troopers, I don't think they're going to have enough. So in this first wave, I'm curious to see how well it's going to go. There's a decent amount of Rebel Troopers there. There's a decent amount over here as well. Some of the ATSTs have already gone down. The Imperial Commander was realizing the mistake he made now as he's getting hit from the rear from the most powerful unit that the Rebels and Insurgents have brought to bear, which is the old people who used to worship at the temple, man. People who were in hiding, but now, you know, decided to use their Kyber crystal-powered lightsabers to basically just charge. And look at this. This detachment of Stormtroopers, which is the main contingent of defense here for the Empire, is getting absolutely crushed. So here's a question. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? We're going to slow this one down here, because the Empire is falling. Honestly, Rogue One is my personal favorite. Another question I want to ask you guys is for the sake of the next video for Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. What lore do you want to see? Do you want to see Star Wars? Do you want to see Marvel superheroes? DC heroes? There's even some Smash Bros stuff. And I've always thought, wouldn't it be funny to do, a big Mario battle, Koopa Troopers versus Toads and stuff like that? I thought would be fun. There's so many possibilities. There's Halo. There's you could have World War II. We could have the Japanese versus the Americans, or even the Germans. We could have D-Day. What would you like to see next? Because right now, as the Empire's forces are getting overrun. Let's actually see how many are left. There are only 360 units left for the Empire, and then the rebels have over 4,000 units. The Jedi here were definitely what was used, and effectively, oh my gosh, effectively used. Even the Death Troopers can't really stop this. This is incredible. Look at them just running through and chopping them down. It was just a massive flank. Oh my gosh, look at that. None of them... Are you not able to climb, or is it what is they're using the terrain as like a bit of defense? Limit their exposure, right? Oh man, there's 100 Empire left. All the ATSTs are down. Most of the Death Troopers are getting lightsabers to the face. They are, however, able to cut down a lot of these Jedi. So I think what would be kind of cool, I always wondered this, you know, Remnants of the Clone Wars is like, there was tons of droids and probably even droid manufacturing. Like, there was probably still facilities left on certain planets like Geonosis maybe, or other planets, right? How come the Rebel Alliance never went to try to reoccupy that and produce battle droids to supplement their forces? I've always been curious about that. Why didn't they do that? They could totally do that. And that would be like a great way to increase your forces. Look at this. Imperial forces are down to 30. There is still 4,000. So it's over 100 to 1. The odds are over 100 to 1 right now. 100 rebels to 1 Imperial, which is interesting. Just think about this. Now, what would the Empire have to do to retake this, knowing the forces that they're going to have, right? And we're going to supplement the rebel forces in the next battle using some droids, because I think that would just be... I've always thought that would be a really cool, viable tactic. So let's see. I think the last defenders are here. There's only 2 left. Where's the last one? He is right here. I tried to repossess him to run, but this is a rebel victory. So look at this. We've got tons of local insurgents and, you know, force-attuned lightsaber warriors. We won't necessarily call them Jedi. Tons of rebel soldiers here. Gosh, there's so many rebel soldiers over there. And then there's a ton over here. The ATSTs were pretty cool. You know what? I'm curious about one thing. So I want to do one quick thing, obviously, before the Star Destroyer arrives and just tries to take the rebel defenders back to the Stone Age. But what if they had artillery, right? So the only artillery unit I can really find is the catapult. And I'd love to make, like, some other artillery. So I wanted to see how they do against just this massive push of rebel forces, because they should do a lot of splash damage, and each shot is a multiplier. It's a force multiplier, right? It's able to take down multiple enemies at the same time. It's able to greatly help and defend the Imperial defense, right? So what we're going to do is speed up the battle to 1.5 times speed, 1.5 times speed, rather. And I want the catapults here to just see, like, I want to see how many... Here, let's speed it up to 2 times speed. I want to see if the catapults are able to do, like, make a substantive difference, a big impact on the battle here. A lot of the catapults that strayed too close to that ridge are destroyed, so leaving a great many. You can see some rebels that have fallen, but I wouldn't say it's a lot relative to, you know, maybe the cost or, like, what I would have expected. Oh, man, and now the Jedi are already here cutting into the back of the Death Troopers and Stormtroopers mixed forces. Here the rebels are still doing well. There's a few catapults still firing, but most of them have gone down. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 left. Oh yeah, and look at this. See, this is where the battle really happens. So this is the view that the Star Destroyer is going to have. Imagine you're up here and you're able to just fire turbo laser batteries. Super powerful, high-hitting, high-impact, heavy impact hitting laser weaponry, right? Man, I wonder if we could do this. We could probably do this with other ships. Like, I bet we could get the Covenant, right? We could have a Halo battle where there's a Covenant, like, capital cruiser in orbit. And just wait, the Death Star is coming in the next battle here. It doesn't look like the catapults were able to do much, and as a result, the Empire does fall again. So that's how I kind of imagine the occupation of the Holy City of Jedha to have happened. The Empire went in a blitz attack, like, occupied the city before any formal resistance could be made, because they wouldn't have expected it to happen. Then the insurgents would have formed up, maybe recruited the rebels, right? and they would have retaken the city, and then the Star Destroyer would have needed to be brought in to basically, here we go. There's only 30 left, and they're all probably what? Oh, where are they? They further in the city? Or are they right here? Oh, here they are, the last little bit of stormtroopers here. Yeah, so I would imagine that would have happened, right? Then the Star Destroyer comes in, occupies the city, starts, you know, taking off all of the Kyber crystal to power the Death Star. I don't know if we could get a Death Star in the game, but I tell you what, it's possible. All right, now for the grand event. The first working Imperial Star Destroyer in Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. The holy city of Jeddah, Ni Jeddah, has been retaken by the Rebel Force. A city with remnants of great Jedi lore from the past, and a very, very important strategic location because of the Kyber crystals in the temple. Now, the Rebels have got a bunch of battle droids up and working to supplement their ranks. They've also recruited the locals to help with them, represented by these Gamorrean guards. Celebrating the retaking of the city was short-lived, however, because shortly after, 4 legions of stormtroopers were sent to retake the city, supported by a special detachment of 500 death troopers, the elite of the elite for the Empire. The temple has to be retaken in order for the Empire to get the Kyber crystals to power the Death Star. The Rebels are armed with a bunch of force-wielding Jedis as well, the last defenders of it. However, it's not looking good because the Empire brought in the big guns. Oh yes, the first and only ship in Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. This is an Imperial Star Destroyer. This is a working Imperial Star Destroyer. It is hovering in atmosphere over the city of Ni Jeddah here. And remember, Star Destroyers have bombardment. They could turn this city to glass if they needed to, but they're definitely looking to overthrow the Rebel defenders here. So it's all a matter of how can really the Empire retake the city and overthrow it, because they gotta get this. This is basically, I wanted to recreate the battle before Rogue One. You know, why was the Star Destroyer hovering over the city? How did it get there? How did they retake it? Now, we're using the assets we have available. I want to thank Dave, Games Majestic, for making the Star Destroyer, this working Star Destroyer. Yes, it's going to be shooting lasers. It's going to be epic. All right, so let's start the battle. So the orbital bombardment starts from the Star Destroyer. The Rebels are doing their best to fire back up. You can see the mix of red lasers from the Rebels, green lasers from the Empire. This is where I guess the majority of the thrusters for the Star Destroyer are working. Dave made this work. It's pretty impressive. I upped the stormtroopers to 5,000, so they're storming in here. There's a bunch of Gamorrean guards, and there's a bunch of laser knights, aka Jedis, but most of them were taking out from the bombardment of the Star Destroyer. There are a few left, and look at this, man. This is just absolute carnage right now. So here we go. The Death Troopers are running in, and they're cutting down pretty much everybody in their path. Now remember, they are the elite of the elite, and they've been tasked with the complete and total occupation of this city for the sake of obtaining the Kyber crystals. I mean, the Death Star's got to be powered because the Death Star's got to be in range in 4 minutes on the moon of Yavin. So, man, I think Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie. So once again, I'd like to ask you guys, what is your favorite Star Wars movie? And look at this, man. Death Troopers are trying to move in. However, there's a pretty good choke point. The Rebels are being hit by the orbital bombardment of the Star Destroyer, which is definitely messing up their defense here. Even with all their battle droids, even with using the local Gamorreans, or the Gamorreans are representative of, like, the local population of the city that would have joined their ranks in this defense. Now let's see how the stormtroopers are doing over here, if they've managed to break in yet. Oh my gosh, yes they have. They're storming here. They're storming the city center right now, around the temple. Man, I tell you what, this is, like, I've always been curious, like, how would the occupation of Jeddah happened, right? Would have there been a battle? Because if you think about it, like, Saw Gerrera was leading, you know, a true rebel, like guerrilla war. He was an insurgent, right? So it's like, there must have been an initial battle, and there was the Star Destroyer hovering over the city to just basically, like, placate it. Like, basically force people into submission. Force the denizens of it. Oh my gosh. The Death Troopers and the Stormtroopers are meeting up right now. This is not looking good for the Rebels, man. And I just love this. Like, look at that. Look at this. Here, we'll go in slow motion, because I want you to just see this thing. Look at it in action, boys. Look at it. Oh my gosh. If the lighting in this game could be improved, if the game itself could be improved, there's so much you could do with it. Like, look at what was done. There's the orbital bombardment here. Look at this, the rear thrusters of the Star Destroyer. Now obviously they're off because it is doing its best to hover. But I mean, this is incredible. It's just bombing it. The Death Troopers are coming in. Stormtroopers are coming in. The last remnants of Rebel defense are just wilting at the combined firepower of Star Destroyers, who are not very accurate. Death Troopers, who are the beasts from the east, man. These guys are awesome. It said like that all of them are like, what, 6 to 7 feet tall or something like that? They're like physically imposing. Their armor's imposing. Their weapons are incredibly powerful. And they just have this like, they're fearless. They are the elite of the Empire. Oh my gosh, the Rebels are getting pushed back. This looks like the last of the Rebels. You Rebel scum. They're doing their best, but remember, man, most of the Jedis, most of the force-wielding, lightsaber-wielding warriors were cut down by the Star Destroyer to start it out. It's just... Look at this, man. And the freaking Star Destroyer, just laying it down. The Star Destroyer is victorious. I mean, is that just not perfect? Look at that. So let's see. The Empire had 6,149 units left. The Rebel forces were only able to kill 347, and the Empire killed 2,326. Basically indicating, like, when you have combined arms, when you have the support of something that is just impervious to small arms fire, and has so much firepower, and you're defending a city and you're surrounded, I tell you what, man, that is what you call an absolute rout. The Empire now has control of the Temple of Kyber in the Holy City of Jeddah, which I believe the city's called Ni Jeddah, right? So the Kyber Temple is occupied. And then, now we can kind of get a decent understanding of this. Obviously not canon, this is totally just like a hypothetical of like how the city would have been taken, right? And now the Empire owns it, and thus now we can go watch Rogue One. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next one. Thank you again to Dave, Mr. Game Majestic, for this amazing Star Destroyer. And let me know what you think would be cool to make and what you'd like to see in the next video, and I will see you there.